So you might have walked up this walkway. Come on, let's go. Walked over here to your junior high school. L.P. Wilson. In 3 years here, I never went on that tennis court. It's a little fact. I've never been on the tennis court. To this day, I don't think I've ever stepped foot on that tennis court. I did walk up this walkway many times, and I remember coming here 7th, 8th, and 9th, so that would be 79, 80, 81. Walking up to this entrance through these doors usually, but a lot of times you couldn't go through these doors right here because all the girls would be double dutching, playing double dutch right here. Let's see, it must have been April Brown, Melissa Johnson, Ingrid Levy, etc., etc. This spot right here, 7th grade, school bus from the Cape Cod trip parked right here, dropped us off. And my only intention was to get my Red Sox hat back off the head of Christine Stone. I don't know why she was wearing it, but I liked it. She was wearing my hat, my Red Sox hat, and I thought I was the man. But then I had to get it back from her because I didn't want my father to know that a girl was wearing my hat. I don't know why. Come on. Alright, let's go inside and trespass. Remember this courtyard? It's another thing, other than the tennis courts. In 3 years in this school, I never once went to that courtyard. Never been outside in that courtyard. I think that's where all the kids used to go and smoke. How they let middle school students smoke is kind of crazy. I probably don't even do that anymore. Mr. Palizza. Remember Mr. Palizza, the guidance? I think it was the guidance counselor. That was his office in there. This was the social studies. I guess the social studies hallway. Mrs. Alexander was right in, I guess Mrs. Alexander must have been in this room, room 6. Mrs. Alexander, good teacher. And what was that guy's name? He taught us about the caribou. Was it Schweitzer? I think it was Schweitzer. In this room down here, he taught us about the caribou. The Alaskan caribou. Right here. Hold on. This room. Now, here's the thing, right? I was here for 3 years, beginning in 1970, I guess the end of 78. And I remember my locker. 282. My locker. I remember it, and I remember looking at it a couple years ago. Let's see. Yeah, it's still there. Look at this. Mike Martino, class of 83. Now, he must have written this back in 80, whatever, because he was going to graduate in 83, and he was here. So in almost 30 years, they've never cleaned this locker. I was here, 83, Mike Martino. I don't know if you can read that. All right, now, 1979, I was here, 80, 81. I only remember 2 lockers out of all these kids myself included, I remember 2 lockers. And before we get to that one, see this room here, library connection? That was the science room. And I remember I sneezed one time so hard that I ducked under the table and phlegm had come out all over my wrist. So I stayed down there for about 2 minutes trying to hide it so my classmates wouldn't see. Now, here's another thing. Well, I'll tell you first. I remember my locker, and I remember right here one of these two, either 243, 242, or 241. That was Rita's locker, Rita Cargi. And the crazy thing is, because I remember, I don't know why I remember where her locker was, but and I remember where mine was. And the crazy thing is, they ended up getting married almost 30 years later. And to this day, those are the only 2 lockers I remember. That was the library. Now look, here's a historic spot. I've mentioned it before. One day, around 1980, I had a pair of plaid pants that I really thought looked good. So I wore them to school. I actually couldn't wait to wear them to school. I thought they looked good. And I walked down this hallway proudly. I turned that corner right there. I got down this hallway. I was walking, right? I got right here. This was the science room over there. Right over there. That was the science room. And I think it was April Brown. I think it was Elaine Lubsey. I think it was Melissa Johnson. Maybe Monique Howard. I think Melissa Johnson was there, but pretty sure, I'm almost positive Lisa Jones was one of the people that saw my pants and laughed so hard that I stopped here, listened to them laugh. I turned, I walked right out that door, and I took a right, and I went all the way back home. I was in school for 4 minutes that day, and I threw those plaid pants away, and I never wore them again. So thank you, Lisa Jones.